There we go. Back here live on our world famous Jiggy Jaguar radio broadcast and coast to coast and boulder to boulder on TuneIn, iTunes, Radio Loyalty. We're having all sorts of fun here today on our big program. And we've got Alan K. Patch joining us here on the telephone. And like I was explaining to Alan when we were first connecting here for the call today, it's been a whirlwind of a year, Alan. I had the COVID-19 in February, and then my mother thinks she had it in November, and then a photographer of mine thinks he got it in October. So it's a hell of a deal, my friend.
Well, glad you and everyone around you has recovered.
Yes,
because a lot of people are just getting into it now to the point where where they they're trying to protect themselves.
And one thing about it is that it I've noticed that it hits people differently. Like with my mother, she had all the usual symptoms. You can't taste anything. You're high fever, all the different things. With me, I was just tired. It just wiped me out. Same thing with my photographer Michael Nagy out in New Jersey. He just was tired. So it's been a strange deal. I don't know.
That's deceptive, Jiggy. If everybody's not getting the same symptoms, and sometimes people don't know, and therefore, you don't know exactly what you have, and so people are getting it just because people don't even know that they have it or think that they have it because the symptoms are so different.
Yes.
What a mess.
Yes. As a medical professional, what do you make of all this, Alan?
Well, here is the problem is that the medical people themselves, who we have to appreciate for all they're doing. I mean, they're going in to work every day in this war-like environment where they can catch it, but then they have to work, and then they have to go home, and they have to ostracize themselves from their families. Stay in a room that only they can go into, and then get up the next day and go back again. And not only endure the sort of the physical risk, but the psychological, the turmoil that comes with it from seeing people sick, seeing people die, seeing people in desperate situations. So, yeah, I do have a lot of friends in the medical field who are enduring that right now. So you look at that part of it. And the second thing is as you're saying, there's so many different symptoms that you don't know who's really got it. And, I mean, they have to have enough swabs for everyone. They have to have enough tests for everyone to really know. So that's another angle of this that is difficult, just coming from the medical side, from what I'm hearing from friends.
We have got Alan K. Patch with us today, but we also have a great segment today here with Alan. Check out akpatchauthor.com for more information. Engaged, disengaged in troubled times, and we hear updates on the coronavirus situation 24/7. We must be informed, but being glued to TV minute by minute raises your anxiety levels in unhealthy ways. Here to discuss the historical perspective on what we can do and to detach is our good friend A.K. Patch. Now, A.K., what about this obsessive media updates? It seems like everybody and their brother is engaged with this nowadays.
Well, it's you get lured in. You almost can't help it. These are days we're going to remember for a long time, and just, hopefully we don't have repeated uncontrolled outbreaks of this, which is another issue altogether. But it's hard enough to stay physically healthy and to do all the things you need to do as precautions. Without this constant minute by minute updating and coverage by the major networks. And we do get lured into this because, we kind of want to know what's going on, But at the same time, at a certain point, it becomes obsessive, and that's really not so good for us, because then you're just basking in this constant negativity. And, we need to know the precautions, and we know we need to stay home, and hopefully across the country that's being done. But, we also can't watch this this coverage constantly. It almost seems like, you're getting beat over the head, and, the networks are looking for content, and sometimes they keep rehashing the same info, but at a certain point, we've got to be able to detach ourselves from that.
We've got Alan K. Patch with us today. He joins us live here on our big broadcast, Engage, Disengage in Troubled Times, and AK was with us today here on our big program. So what do we do here, my man?
Well, you engage when it's necessary. You have to get some updating, which is important to know what's happening around your neighborhood and in your city. But, you can turn it off when it becomes too much. And we all are going to have our own methods of distancing or detaching from it. For some it's a hobby. They've been doing it for a long time. Other people go on long walks. Whatever you got to do. Maybe it's time for like a national meditation time period, where everybody gets together at the same time and we meditate just to start to control our thoughts, because we can get carried away in this worry and anxiety and negativity. A lot of Eastern philosophy is already kind of up on that, and it's sort of advanced in the way that they treat these kind of anxieties. But it is kind of a paradox. We were talking about this earlier. You go from a busy life where you drink your 3 cups of coffee, you get the kids to school, you go to work, you fight the traffic, and you do all these things as part of an everyday life. And all of a sudden, that's the rug's pulled out, and here we are, mostly being at home. Not everybody, but a lot of people being at home and looking for things to do. That's really the interesting part of this is that and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We have time to reflect a bit on what was working in our lives before this happened, and maybe what we want it to look like once this is all over.
That's a heck of a way to look at things. It's Alan K. Patch with us today. He joins us live here on our big program, Coast to Coast and Border to Border on TuneIn, iTunes, and Radio Loyalty. And there is a heck of a lot going on with Alan these days. He's got his fantastic books. They're available at akpatchauthor.com. He's also, as he's locked down like everybody else, he is continuing to write. And so on this, what give me the historical perspective on this.
Well, this is kind of a different way of looking at it, but, in times like this, of course we're looking ahead, but we also, especially when we want to detach and sort of disengage, we can look back on times in the past that were good. And this comes from a word called nostalgia. When we think of nostalgia, think of that TV show Happy Days that was on in the 70s, with
Yes.
Ricky Cunningham and
Yes.
Fonz. And all
The
rest of
Fonz, baby.
Yeah.
Hey.
But that's a look back to more pleasant times, Jiggy, and it actually kind of fits a bit. But let's just look at the roots of the word nostalgia and see what it really means. And it has Greek roots. It comes from 2 Greek words.
Yes.
The first word is nostos, which is this feeling like we want to return home. And the second root word is glios, which is the pain of. So it's this yearning and that we have to return home. And that makes us feel good, to look back on days that were better. So that's part of maybe what's going to have to happen with this disengagement and getting away from this at certain times during the day, where maybe we can sit back and think and meditate about when times were good. We don't have to go back that far, actually. We can go back about 2 or 3 months.
That's right.
Times were good. I think about the people in World War II who were going through this kind of worry and anxiety for about 4 years, with their loved ones out in the battlefields, and wherever they were, you don't know where they're coming home. There's no communication like there is now. So that's an awful lot of, we kind of forget that anxiety part of what it must have been like for the families at home of all these service members. But anyway, nostalgia is interesting, because in these stressful moments we can start to meditate about pleasant experiences in the past.
Yes.
So maybe this meditation is good. You get to sit back and think about those things that, take you out of the stress and negativity of the moment and just give you at least a break.
It's Alan K. Patch with us today, akpatchauthor.com. That is the official website. Go over to akpatchauthor.com for more information on Alan's books. He's got some amazing, amazing things going on. And speaking of your books, where can we get the books? I know you're on Amazon, all these other places. Give us a rundown of what you've got available for folks.
Well, you know what? I've written a trilogy. It's a time travel adventure. It's a lot of flesh and bones history, but it's really a look at the past, the present, and the future. And that's the interesting part for me, because I get to take modern day characters, they're professors, and kind of throw them into a grist mill. We often wonder, just as we were talking about the people in World War II and the families and the country, sacrificing what they did. Do you ever think that we could go back and endure the same thing? And that's kind of part of what I'm doing with this series. I'm taking modern-day professors who are history professors. They know exactly what's going to happen, at least by historical standards, and I throw them into an ancient war to see what happens. Can they survive it? Are they tough enough, smart enough to sort of get through it? They're being trained for something coming in our near future. But it's interesting to look at this concept of, do we have the stuff that previous generations had when they were faced with these disasters or climatic events or war, things that were going to have far-reaching effects. And what did they do and how they handle it, and who were these people? That's kind of the fun for me with this series, is taking my modern-day characters and putting them in these situations and meeting these people who, by history standards, were part of warding off this unbelievable invasion from the East and sort of saving the kernel of Western civilization and kind of how we ended up where we are today. So, part of the series goes to the past, but it also goes to the future. And it's a big giant pot, and I stir it, and all kinds of things happen in there, and my characters get in a lot of trouble because they think they know everything, and they kind of take chances, and they got to suffer the consequences.
That's awesome. Well, it is Alan K. Patch with us today, akpatchauthor.com. Get more information at akpatchauthor.com. And Alan, I look forward to talking to you next week, and have yourself a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. Thank you, my friend.
I will, Jiggy, and if your listeners are interested, they just go to Amazon. They look up Passage at Delphi. That's the first book. That's the best one to start with. My last name is Patch, pretty easy to remember. And start with that book and get going in the adventure. I promise a good read.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate it, Alan, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Jiggy. Bye.
Appreciate it. There he goes, Alan K. Patch, and we are going to take a time out and have more.